Okay, so it's good to be back. May just be the three of us tonight. Next week there's a test, right, in week 7. So my plans are to breeze through some of these PowerPoints of the topics that we've covered in the last 2 weeks. Does that sound all right? I just want to make sure. So according to my calculations, we've done digital ubiquity, Internet of Things, and big data. Is big data this week coming up? Somebody talk to me.
I think the test is actually this week. It looks like it might be due the 4th.
Oh, the test is this week.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Am I a week behind?
Maybe.
You know, this is interesting because I have teaching 3 grad classes, and one grad class started a week, well, 2 of them started a week after this class. And so I could very well be, let's see, I'm just in another place pulling up. Let's see. So it's due the 4th, right? Yeah, that's this week. That's week 7. Right. Okay. We just finished big data. Right. Okay. Okay. Right. So this week, the test is this week. Good to know. I should open that up. Now let me get back to where you guys are. Here it is. Okay. Great. Hi, Marissa. Marisa, maybe? I think we just covered it. We just covered what? Hi. All right. What would you guys like to do? Do you want me to run through the PowerPoints, or do you think you're good with that? You want me to do something else? Lauren?
I mean, that might be a good idea, just to run through them briefly. I think I'm pretty comfortable with the material, but I don't know if anybody else has anything.
Marisa and Jessica, you agree? All right. So, great. I will run through them. Oops. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Digital ubiquity. And these are the focus questions. So, Lauren, can I ask you to mute your mic when you're not talking? Thanks. Okay, great. Now, these are the focus questions. Industrial internet, what is it? Software capabilities. Let me think here. What is the best way? All right. So organizations are really going through a digital transformation, and everything is going digital, as I'm sure you're all aware of. And companies are hard pressed to take their brick and mortar operations and make them digital. And this has been going on for some time now. And in the last couple of weeks, you saw multiple examples of digital transformation, GE being one, the Weather Channel being another. These examples are everywhere. Oh, just as an aside, did you see what happened to Volkswagen since we studied Volkswagen this semester? Did you see what came out? Anybody see what came out in the news today? They were fined. Let me make sure I get this amount right. They were fined. Volkswagen will pay nearly 15 billion, that's a B, billion, to settle emissions cheating in the US. It's one of the largest ever consumer class actions. So that's just the latest. Right. Yeah, for the diesel scandal. Anyway, that they perpetrated through software. Huh. Pretty interesting. All right, so digital transformation. So probably no questions there. Transactions are being digitized, data is being generated and analyzed, so we get this big data. And give me a technology that starts with an S that's critical in generating big data and this digital transformation. Anybody want to type it in, take a crack at it? Starts with an S. Nobody wants to play my games tonight. Sensors. So sensors are everywhere. And sensors, you know, in when we read about GE, you know, GE puts sensors on their equipment, and sensors are very good at what? Collecting what? This is going to take long. Right. Collecting data. Lauren, it's not that you can't talk. It's just when you're not talking, mute. So please feel free to talk, everybody. Data. They're very good at collecting data. And how much data does a sensor collect? A lot. A lot. And so things are becoming digitized through the progression of technology. And it's now very easy, and it has been very easy for the last couple years to collect data. And now there's a lot of data. And do companies make effective use of all the data that they collect? What do you think? Right. They don't. So they've been collecting all this data and storing it because the cost of storage is expensive or not expensive? Not expensive. Cost of storage is relatively not expensive. And so they have technologies that makes it easy to collect data. Storing data doesn't really cost that much, and so they keep collecting and storing data, but we didn't have the technologies to really get the value out of the data. So what comes along is, so that's the concept of big data. And what comes along is with the Internet of Things and the progression of technology, now we're playing catch up, and we are getting better at, well, the big concern now is how to get the value out of the data. And so you can see that these topics are all related. Big data. What kind of data? I know I'm on digital transformation, but it's all related. What kind of data is collected in big data? So what kind of data is stored in a database, structured or unstructured? Hello? Structured or unstructured data in a database? The answer is structured. So when we put data in databases, in relational databases, they're in tables, and tables have rows and columns in them, and that's very structured. But now we collect all data in all different formats, and we call when it's not structured, we call it unstructured. And we're very good at handling structured data, but this new unstructured data that we get through the Internet of Things and all sensors and technologies, data comes in all shapes and forms now. And so to handle that takes new technologies, and that's what data analytics and big data, that's where we have progressed from the Internet of Things with technologies to where now companies are trying to harness the data that they've collected in the form of big data and apply techniques to get value from big data. So that's this progression. A business model is how a company makes money. And so companies' business models are changing from traditional to digital. So their business models are being transformed from traditional brick and mortar to digital business models. How they make money is changing. How they bring value to their customers and how they make money is changing. It's being transformed. So what is a business model? How a company creates value for its customers. That's the customer value proposition, and how it captures that value. That's the monetary value, how it makes money. So I think we talked about GE's business model. GE is adding digital sensors to machines, connecting them to common cloud-based software platform, investing in software development and building advanced analytics to harness this big data to get value, business value from the data that they're collecting through sensors for GE. And this is tons of data. Right? So here's a picture of how GE's business model has been transformed. It was transactional. Things would break, they would have parts, they would fix it. They would sell parts and repair machines. You know, that's not that long ago, 1980s. Then they started offering service agreements, contracts and service agreements. So, and then they moved to expanded customer outcomes. They optimized assets and operations. So they will run your airlines more efficiently. They will analyze things. And here's this service model. Now revenue from jet engines, for example, is not tied to simple sales and transactions, but performance improvement, less downtime, more miles flown over the course of the year. So they have transformed how they made money here by selling parts and repairs to how they're making it now through optimizing assets and operations through analysis of data. Are we good with this? Should I go on to the next? Not hearing anything. Yes, thank you. It gets lonely out here, ladies. Internet of Things. So what were we just doing? Digital ubiquity, right? So, right, great. Internet of Things. IoT for those in the know. So the Internet thing is also called the Internet of Everything or the Industrial Internet. That's what was in the GE example. So the Internet of Things, new technology paradigm envisioned as a global network of, what do you have to be on the Internet? What does a machine have to have? Two letters and a word. To be connected to the Internet, what does a machine or a device have to have? It has to have an address. It has to have an IP address to be connected. So as long as something has an IP address, it can connect to the internet. And now it's the internet, it's on the internet. And things like radios or sensors attached to traffic lights and other equipment, as long as they have an IP address, they can connect to the internet. So the Internet of Things is a network of physical objects or things embedded with electronics, software, sensors, and network connectivity. And I got that from Wikipedia. RFID, radio frequency ID. Where have we read about RFIDs? What case study? That's right. That's right, Walmart. So remember how essential RFID technology was to Walmart moving and tracking all of its gazillion products, right? So, and what works with RFID are sensors. So the sensors read the RFID, and that's how feeds that information into the network, and then we can track the products. And anytime you track something that if you are like me and you purchase anything online and you want to know when it's arriving, it has a sensor, it has a tag RFID attached to it, and the UPS man or woman scans that and it goes into the system, and then you can see where it is. So that's really how that works. Cloud computing. Cloud computing is becoming a big player in this Internet of Things. Uh, this is infrastructure as a service, plus software as a service, plus data storage. You combine those three things, and you're talking about cloud computing. Right, RFID, wireless sensor networks, middleware. If you're doing integration, middleware came about because in the 1980s, due to simplifying the integration of legacy systems. So companies really struggle with modernizing their legacy technologies and their legacy systems. And middleware has to do with simplifying that integration. So, hi, my kitty is here. Cloud computing. Right, many IoT applications require massive data storage, huge processing speed to enable real-time decision-making, and high-speed cloud computing provides an ideal back-end solution infrastructure for handling these huge data streams and processing them, right? Company needs more storage, it goes to the cloud, it rents more storage, right? So rather than being a fixed expense, now storage is a variable expense, and companies can get it as they need it, which is just such a big change. Big data analytics, I think that's okay. So managing all this data that's associated with the Internet of Things is a big challenge. Hence we'll get to big data. Getting value from it, managing the data, being able to get value from it. Then there's privacy challenges, can you guys hear my cat? There are privacy challenges. Yeah, you can. Okay. They're both here now they're both here, of course, now. privacy challenges, security challenges, data center not prepared. Right. So there's this heterogeneous data is structures combination of structured, which we know how to handle, and unstructured, which is new. And so companies, when they're dealing with Internet of Things, they're getting data in various forms, and the unstructured data is obviously harder to handle because it's unstructured. So that means it's heterogeneous. They're dealing with structured and unstructured. So while data mining has been around for a while, applying traditional data mining techniques to unstructured images and video data does not work. So new techniques associated with big data. Right. Privacy. What is privacy? Does anyone have privacy anymore? Protecting privacy is often counterproductive to service providers. You know, you put a picture out there and it's tagged with its location and all other kinds of information, and you know, you can get into trouble. Security challenges. So how do we keep all these things secure? As the number and variety of connected devices is introduced into the networks, the potential security threat obviously increases. And it can be a mess. How's that? How are we doing on time? Okay, we're good. All right, so on to big data. This is the prettiest one. So, big data. What do you mean? What is meant by you can't manage what you don't measure? Well, let's just go through these. This size is small. Okay. Uh, Anybody besides me shop online? Am I the only one? Yeah, I do too. I love shopping online, especially in the winter. In fact, I do like most of my shopping now online. It's just fun for me. So the key differences between big data and analytics, we're talking big volume, real-time or nearly real-time information, the structured and unstructured data gets us into this realm of big data versus what we would call analytics before. Oh, here's the one about the airline. So I don't know why this slide looks like this. The problem was a delay of 10 minutes. Customers were stuck on planes, so they used Right ETA. ETA stands for estimated time of arrival. They used Right ETA, which calculated arrival times by combining publicly available data about the weather, flight schedules, and other factors. So they took all this different types of data and they ran analytics on it. And I think it was a pretty cool example of the application of big data and how it can help companies, basically. And I like this. I think this is on the test because I like this. Many in the big data community manage. Okay, so in the past, people would make decisions, business people would make decisions based on their gut hunches or based on their experience. You know, I've seen this before. Even though situation is a bit different, I think I know how to do this, as an example. And so there's this term now, HIPPO. The highest paid person's opinion is the one that was followed. And that highest paid person wasn't always right. So this new decision making, what we're trying to do is have business leaders and decision makers make their decisions based on something other than their hunch, you know, based on the data. What do the data say? You know, where did the data come from? What kinds of analysis were conducted? How confident are we in the results? Means how risky is there risk in this analysis that we're looking at, and allow themselves to be overruled by the data. Few things are more powerful for changing a decision-making culture than seeing a senior executive concede when data have disproved a hunch. So companies are, as people retire and new employees come on who grew up with the Internet of Things and are comfortable with big data and what it can tell companies, decision making hopefully is changing from a hunch to data driven. And we've always said decision making should certainly include data and be rely on data, but now it's becoming ever more necessary because your competition is doing this. I'll have to see why this is like this. Anyway, 5 management challenge, leadership teams. You got to have people that can, data scientists. You got to have people that can analyze the data, that know how to do it. Decision making. We talked about that. And the culture. Don't ask what do we think, but ask what do we know. Move away from acting solely on the hunches and instinct. How's that? Um, that's in a whirlwind. The internet, digital ubiquity, Internet of Things, and big data. Do you want to take a look at what are those answers to? Always, I do. Always what? What was that referred to? Oh, I see. I'm running a little behind. Okay, great. I'm not the only one. All right. Right. The last one. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just looking through these. All these slide decks are available to you. Let's talk about, I think we're good here. Let's talk about, I don't know, what do you want to talk about? How to study for the test? Or are you done studying? Yes. Okay, great. Sure. If I were you, and of course, you read all the material, you answer the questions, and then to study for the test, I would go through the slide decks. And if I didn't understand anything, of course, I'd go back to the readings. But um, here's how I create the test. I create the test based on, let's go here, I'll show you. Let's just here. I create the test based on the focus questions. So I write the test myself. I prepare the questions. They're multiple choice or matching. And I create the questions based on the focus questions. So if I haven't asked something in a focus question, it won't be on the test. So that's good news. So all of the PowerPoints are available to you, and they address the focus questions or the case questions, those CQs, case questions, or the FQs, the focus questions. And the focus questions for each reading are at the beginning of each of the slide decks. And the way the slide decks are organized is to address the focus question. So hopefully this is right. And the next slide is going to be, what does industrial internet mean? Well, okay. What is digital transformation? What is a business model? What is a bit? Really? Okay. I would go with, what is digital transformation? Explain the software cables real a modern tech-based business. I think I threw those in the front. Are those the wrong focus questions? I think maybe they are. I'm sorry. Some of these are not right. I think I updated them. I will go back and look at this. So sorry. Go by these questions here. Let me pull up another one. And what is that one? This digital. Let's look. Let's go here. Ugh. Let's go. Am I missing one here? Well, let's go here. No, that's the wrong one. I'm sorry. Let's try this. Let me go back. What is meant by you can't manage what you don't measure? Is that it? Okay, great. Huh, good. Anyway, so here are the questions, and here's the answers to the questions. What did the airlines do to improve the ETAs? And I will, so the the two decks that are messed up here, this is big data. The format isn't right. So let me do that and re-upload. Re-upload, is that a word? Let me upload that again. And the other one where the focus questions were wrong was, it's okay if you print it. It's okay if I print what?
The formatting is fine if it's
Oh,
printed.
it is?
I have mine printed out and it's completely fine.
Huh. So if you download it, you know what? So yeah, you're right. This is, what if I do? Yeah. When I looked at this on, I didn't print it, but when I looked at it on PowerPoint, it looked fine. So, okay. All right. Then I won't worry too much about it. But it was the focus questions for Internet of Things in the front that were kind of kaflooey. So I'll take a look at that. But so the format of the format of the test, so here's how I'd study. Again, I said this. Here's how I'd study. I'd study the predominantly PowerPoints as a review of everything. When I read something, I highlight it, and I always go back and skim my readings, my highlights. But I would focus, that's how I would study. It is a multiple choice slash matching, which can be kind of tricky. I try to make it straightforward and not tricky, but I think I'm going to make it timed, because for you guys it's open book, open notes. So And I can't tell you offhand how many questions it is, but if you give me a second, I can. I'm looking. I'll do a preview. It's got 22 questions. And each multiple choice question is 2 points. Each matching is 1 point per item to match. So multiple choice questions are 2, and matching is 1 point per. Okay, so there you have it. There's a study guide. Which I will take another look at the study guide because I think that was from the spring. So I have 2 things tonight to do. The biggest one is I will take a look at the study guide. The exam consists of, right, I'll update the study guide. And I will do that tonight. The study guide just gives you an idea of how many, it's just a list of the topics. It's not really that helpful. But I don't want you to think that there's things on this test that aren't on it, because it says it has enterprise architecture in there, but it doesn't. And it has some other things. So this study guide is left over from the spring, and I will update it tonight. Any questions? Okay, let's see. Jessica says she has a question about the group assignment. I can't see everything in the chat box. I have a question about the group assignment coming up next week. When will the information for the first one be available? I am I will work on this, I would say by Wednesday this week. Thank you. Wednesday. Sure. And I'm just putting the final touches on all parts of the assignment. And I will also check the group formations. I should be able to get everything in order by Wednesday. You have to focus on this on this test, and then it's a holiday weekend. So I'll have at least the first part up and out the door so you can see it. Anything else? All right, well, if there aren't any other questions and if there aren't any other concerns, then I'd say we're done. And I thank you for attending, and I thank you for your efforts in the class. And if you do have concerns, let me know. You're welcome. You guys take care. See ya. recording.